Hello everybody, did this make it better? If you hear like a slight draft of some sort, it's pretty much my door is open and I need some cold air. So yeah, let's get back to it. Hello everybody, did this make it better? And this is what if Deku had a transfer quirk. But right after they pretty much walked into the door, they pretty much are, and Izuku pretty much passed out on the couch, sleeping there peacefully. And Jiro pretty much is enjoying the sight, so she pretty much sat right next to his head and put his head on her lap. And everybody is just enjoying their Inko and Isashi is there cooking some dinner for everybody else. At first they said no, but she insists, so everybody took some of the meal. And time goes by, and seeing it's getting late, everybody started leaving. And the last person to leave is Jiro. Pretty much, she pretty much called her parents, telling them that she'll be late a bit longer. Her parents pretty much know where she is right now. And right when it turns around 11, she pretty much give Izuku a kiss on the cheek and left. Inko and Sashi pretty much wait for a goodbye. And so, let's get into where was I? Yeah, since the week is still going on that was meant for the training camp passed. So Nezu pretty much gave them another week off. And at this point, they're actually giving everybody to go into their dorm rooms in strategy. Since they've been attacked by so many villains, seems like the logical choice at this point. So everybody's pretty much the same. Even Zuku's mother, well, for them it's going on smoothly. As they're in there talking about everything that might happen and could happen, all the rules, all the small details, Zuko pretty much told everybody, "Hey guys, I'm leaving for a workout. See ya," and he left. And Inko pretty much turned back to Azawa and All Might, and pretty much told them, "Okay, since he's gone, I have to tell you something. As you already know about his transfer quirk, both of it, both his healing and his emotions, and they both nod. And Sashi is sitting there with her, or pretty much holding her hands, and she said, "If every time he does that transfer stuff, there's another side effect. One, he does get thirsty, and that's because he loses a lot of blood because of that transfer. But there's another side effect." And they say, "Another side effect? Is it because he gets tired?" And she said, "Well, actually, it happens once a year. In one whole week, he gets that very physical pain back onto his body. He doesn't really bleed, but the scars, the broken the skin, all the pieces of skin falling off, he pretty much get all of it back for a week. As you might have seen on that forest training camp, right?" They said yes. "You might have seen some scars that was showing on his neck," and they said yes. "I was about to ask you about that, but..." And she put her hands up and said, that's his side effect. For that very week, he actually was gaining all the scars, and in one day, he feels all the physical pain that had been conflicted on their bodies into himself for one day. And that's what has happened. And sadly, he gave that physical pain to that villain yesterday." And Aizawa and All Might are shocked to know that this has happened every year for his whole life. And All Might is more shocked because his Izuku pretty much took his physical pain of that very wound that was making him suffer for 7 years, almost 7 years, and he's going to go through that pain. Well, he did go through all that pain again, this time to himself. And Ingo was pretty much kind of tearing up. Isashi pretty much like hold her and pretty much said, "This is Asashi talking," and his emotional side. You already heard about how his physical body it goes on. The emotions side is more longer. You'll see him after a few weeks. I think next week it's gonna start, and it will end at that very week. So don't worry. And keep forgetting their names. But Aizawa asked, "So what's going to happen to him with the emotions?" And Isashi said, "Well, as you already know, like his costume has like all those colors. The 5 stronger ones will actually be every day, once every day for each emotion. And so what I mean is, you will see him extremely happy in one day, extremely mad in one day, the extremely loving in another day, and then the last 2 days is more on what it's gonna happen. So if you see him like that, just don't worry and tell the class exactly what's going on for it. They won't overreact." So they said yes and left. So the week has ended, and giving all the parents some time to let them do the paperwork and all that jazz and getting them moved in. So this time they're actually on Thursday. This is at the point where everybody's actually going to school and putting their stuff in the dorms. Since this week is still their off day, the girls decided to have everybody just tour around their rooms and have a competition on who's the best and who's the worst. But who's the best, pretty much, to liven everybody's spirit since what has happened last week. So everybody pretty much agreed, even Bakugo agreed to this. And so it's the same thing that goes on. Everybody's pretty amused and everything. But it went up, and then someone said, "Since all the guys are being judged, how about all the girls too?" And the girls pretty much said, "Okay, that's fair." And so they do the same thing. As they walked into Jiro, everybody's pretty much a surprise. And Zuko pretty much walked in and said, "A lot more instruments than last time." And he's just pretty much going to a shelf and playing some instruments. It was like his room too. Some of the girls noticed this, and the guys, especially Manila, noticed this and pretty much said, "Hey, it seems like you've been here before, been in her room before. It makes it sound like you've been in her room before." And he's giving like an evil grin. And Deku said, "Well, yeah, I have been. She's been in my room. I've been in her parents' house. She's been in my parents' house. This is what it's called a date. As a couple." And he just turned it right back to Manila. And some of the girls are like trying to get some more gossip out of her, out of Juro, and so is the guys. But they're not giving it. So everything is going well. The last one, well, a few more guys. the last three, and they went into the next. They said next up is Midoriya's room, and as they're walking towards it, Midoriya pretty much told them to wait. I need to clean up some stuff, and so he pretty much get in there. It sounds like a bunch of glass being moved everywhere, and the girls are getting really curious, and the guys are also getting curious. 10 minutes, dang, and the girls pretty much swing open the door and see what's going on, and pretty much said, "What are you hiding?" Because that's what they're thinking. He's hiding something. But Zuko was putting up the last jar back up on the top shelf, and it was pretty tall, so he needed a stool. And as they said that, he dropped it. It hit his head. It kind of opened. It was falling, and Jiro jumped in, tried and caught it, but the lid was open and drenched her. And the girls and the guys are freaking out and saying sorry to Deku and Jiro, but Deku's even more worried because Jiro is now covered in the pink liquid, and he is like freaking out and trying to take up as much of the emotion out of her as fast as possible. And he took as much as he could, but the effects had set in, and she just opened her eyes. Her eyes is completely pink with hearts, and grabbed Deku and start kissing him. And this is more of a makeout than anything else. After a few minutes, even the guys and girls are like pretty much leaving, and Mineta pretty much said, "Well, have fun, you two," and they just closed the door. And Zuko pretty much is enjoying it. Of course, he's enjoying it, but he's taking as much of the emotion out just for it won't affect her too much. And so he actually took out all of it, because he knows how much it weighed at the point, and put it into the jar. He got away from Jiro, put it in the jar, and pretty much turned back to her and said, "Well, I'm sorry," but as he was going to say something else, Jiro pretty much gave him another hug, pushed him down on the... I'm not going to go any further. Pushed him down on the bed and still kissing him. And she's pretty much telling him that she's been holding it in so long, and she just kept kissing him. After an hour has passed of them both kissing, making out, they finally, she pretty much stopped and like took a breather. Zuko pretty much said, "Well, that was fun, but I have to clean my room. Will you please leave?" And she said, "No, I'll stay. I'll just watch." As she's taking a breather, she's actually taking a drink from his cooler. Since Deku pretty much had to drink a lot of water for his quirk, he has a mini fridge in his room that pretty much holds a bunch of water. So she pretty much take a water bottle and start drinking it, as Zuko is pretty much getting all the liquids together and playing it up. And Jiro pretty much was finishing the last bottle and asked Zuko, "So why were you doing it last minute?" Zuko pretty much said, "Well, did I tell you about it? I guess I haven't." And she said, "No, tell me about what?" "Well, as you know, my quirk, the emotional and the physical of transfer." And she said, "Yes." And as they're talking about what's going to happen for next week as the school starts. And she's getting worried, but Zuko pretty much tell her that it's gonna be all fine. It happens every year. I'm used to it. Baku goes, no, and he will help me, and so are my friends, so they will help me as well. So you don't have to worry. There'll be a fun experience for you to see what actually happens to the inside out. And so she's kind of excited. Well, she's worried on the outside, but in the inside, she's excited to see what he acts in with all the emotions, each emotion coming out. And she finally leaves, and some of the girls are in the living area and asking Jiro, so did you two have fun? It seems pretty quiet lately. And so she's blushing, trying to say something, but she's blushing too much to even say, and just kept to her room. And so that scene's in. Everybody's enjoying their time and for the last day. Oh, that's why. So the school started up. Everybody's going into it. And since it's been a while since I talked about his friends, I'll do it for this part. As Zuko pretty much is walking in, he's the last person to go into the classroom, and Zuko pretty much sat down and put the book bag on his table and fell asleep. Like immediately fell asleep, and Ida was going to say something, but Aizawa pretty much signaled him not to. It is allowed. And some of the guys are actually surprised that Deku is actually falling asleep in the middle of class, even though he's always awake. And since it's a Monday, and most people get this feeling, he has the yellow one, the yellow emotion, and the yellow one is pretty much what makes you it's a lazy emotion. Either it'll make you stay still for hours on end, make you sleepy hours on end, and doesn't feel like doing anything at all